Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of No Niche Zone, the podcast about everything. I'm your host, Priscilla Davies, and it is day 237 since the election. JK, it's only been a month, but Jesus, does it feel like the longest month of our lives? Jesus. Y'all, you ever go to sleep and you sleep so poorly that you wake up feeling hungover even though you literally did not drink? That's kind of how I'm feeling today. Y'all, I had the craziest experience yesterday. My last 24 hours has just been like, what the hell? And that's part of the reason why I didn't really sleep that well, because it's just been a hot mess. Long story short, y'all, I made this post to promote what I'm calling the BlackCott. The BlackCott. Yes, that is a boycott for Black people, where we buy Black. We use our money and buy Black. And so I made this post about the BlackCott. And, I happened to mention in the post a few apps and creators who had like resources for people who are looking to find Black owned businesses and support Black owned businesses. And so, I mentioned like a handful of them, a handful of apps and stuff, and posted it and moved on with my life, thinking that, this is going to be great. Like we're helping people out. We're giving out resources. We're giving some shine to these companies. Y'all, tell me why one of the companies that I posted DM'd me, which I didn't see for probably more than 24 hours. I didn't see for longer than a day, and DM'd me asking me to take the post down. Because long story short, their app is not quite functional right now. And basically, like, the traffic, according to them, was going to be very problematic for their servers. And, that already is a little like, okay, but like, if that was only it, I probably would have got good sleep, y'all. This person then proceeded to trauma dump on me in the most like unhinged, like rambling, like, we're talking about A, now we're talking about Z, now we're talking about F, now we're talking about X, now we're talking like in the most wild trauma dumping energy, panic energy in the world. And without getting into too many details, like long story short, we went back and forth. I tried to find some nice little happy medium ground because, again, this wasn't the only person that I mentioned in the post. Also, the post wasn't about this person. It was about the BlackCott, And this wasn't the only person that I mentioned in this post, or the only business, I should say, app or business. And I was like, it's unfair to the other people, because the post, I forgot to mention, started doing really well. It had, by the time that I saw this person's email, it had about 60, or DM, I should say, it had about 60,000 views, and it was growing, and people were so excited. And the comment, long story short, we go back and forth. I tried to keep it up. I was like, maybe I can edit the post, it wasn't good enough. And so I proceeded to continue to get trauma dumped on, like, ma'am, sir, I don't know, person, they, them, I don't know, like, I don't need to know all this personal business about you. Like, it was like that. Like, you're sharing too much personal business with a stranger because you're clearly panicking and unhinged right now, and you can't see the forest for the trees. So in conclusion, without giving too many details, because I know y'all want to go be sleuths and go find out who I'm talking about, but I took the post down because it just was too much. And I was like, this is crazy. And yeah, it sucks. It ended up having about almost 80,000 views by the time I took it down. And it was like, yeah, it sucks for the other businesses who were getting some real, traction, some real visibility. And it sucks for all the people who were benefiting from the post. And it sucks for like the 3,000 people who saved the post, but hey, this one person doesn't have their shit together. And so I guess we all got to go down together, And I ended up like breaking this down to them, like clearly, like what the impact was. And I just kept it real towards the end. I just was like, listen, babes, like this was a horrible experience for me. And, this was like, this was not what I expected. And like, I did not expect to be getting uncomfortably personal information about strangers dumped on me, when I was just trying to post for my community and to support my community. And, after I took the post down, I feel like the light kind of like came back in their eyes or in their head. And they were like, they could finally start to see the forest for the trees. And suddenly they were super apologetic, super conciliatory, trying to offer me all kinds of solutions. And it was just like, the bridge is burnt. The bridge is burnt, and it sucks because this app was like such a great idea, and it was like one of the apps I was so excited about, and I really wanted to support it, and I really wanted people to know about it. And it just like turned completely left. And it's just like, folks, y'all, one thing that I've learned in life is that, when you're in like a situation that you perceive to be like a dire situation, or you're like panicking or you're stressed out, it's important not to visit that panic and stress on the people who are in your life or the people who you're dealing with. Because it's like, I'm a chill person. Like I didn't pick up the panic and start panicking back and like going off, like I just, rolled with the punches, gave it a couple shots to see if we could find some compromise and just let it go and moved on, But it's like other people will not do that, and they will give you that same energy back. And now you're like in a war. And also it's like you're burning bridges, it's like, I'm sorry, but like this was a lie. Like I said, you disrupted my sleep. I couldn't even sleep, this was a lot. And so just guys, try to be conscious of the big picture. Yes. Like, obviously like we have to worry about ourselves and focus on like taking care of ourselves, but don't get so hyper focused on your, moment of panic that you lose sight of like the bigger picture. Because once she kind of calmed down, or I don't know, once they kind of calmed down, like the flip you could see, it was like, she could tell that she effed up. She was like, damn, I messed up. I really burned this bridge. And, and she even said like, I'm sorry, this is your first impression of me, and this isn't who I am. But it's like, but baby girl, that is who you are. It's who you showed me you to be. And as Auntie Maya told us, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Okay. Believe them the first time. So yeah, that was my all day yesterday into this morning. And sidebar, I ended the conversation after I finally like just really laid it out for them. I was like, look, dog, like this was not a good look for you, And after I laid it down for them, they, I ended it basically being like, I don't want to continue going back and forth with you because literally like I don't like having to read through these like discombobulated long ass text messages or DMs. But I was like, I don't want to continue going back and forth with you. Like, you got what you asked for. I took it down. And I just want to like move on and forget about this horrible experience. So let's just leave it here, And what do you think they did? Did they leave it there? No, they came back with the longest of all of their DMs, the longest of the longest, and, like I said, they were very apologetic. They were very conciliatory. And I don't think that they're a bad person. I just think that they are a very troubled person who panicked. And don't let panic, y'all. Don't let panic and stress make you, like act a fool, basically. Don't let it do it to you, because people will not forget that. And again, it's like, there was a potential for future collaboration. There was a potential for, other things. And it's like, girl, I'm good. Thank you, but no thank you. Hard freaking pass. Y'all. And speaking of the BlackCott, that's right, folks. The BlackCott is in full effect. Black people, we are taking our $1.3 trillion and we are putting that $1.3 trillion into Black pockets by supporting Black businesses, folks. We're divesting from the system that don't give a damn about us, okay? And it's not just for Cyber Monday. It's not just for Black Friday. It's not just for the holidays. This is forever. Or at least the foreseeable future. I would say for the next 4 years, but y'all know how I feel about 4 years, okay? Because it's going to be a lot longer than that, y'all. It's going to be a lot longer than that. But we are divesting. We are boycotting, and we're using our money and putting our money where our mouths are. And here's the thing, folks. If you support Black people, you too can support Black businesses. You too can support Black companies and Black service providers. You too should also be doing that, especially to my white liberals, my white, progressives, people who really sincerely ask, what can we do? How can I support Black people? What can I do? And y'all don't want to be having those conversations with your racist uncle. Well, guess what? This is another thing you can do. You can put your money where your mouth is. You can support Black businesses. You can support Black service providers. You can support Black apps, and you can put your money into Black pockets and help us, because we're going to need it. We're going to need to survive these next however long, many years. So if you're one of those people who wants to support, please do. I posted about this, I told you, and some people, there's one person was like, I'm going to identify as Black so that I can support. Like, baby, you don't have to identify as Black. Shut the hell up. You don't have to identify as Black Rachel Dolezal, okay? All you have to do is pull out your checkbook, pull out that cash, pull out that credit card, and support Black businesses. You don't have to be Black to support Black businesses, okay? And Black people, we are making this an inside job. We are divesting, and we are supporting ourselves and each other, all right? The BlackCott has begun. The BlackCott has begun. Okay. So you know what I wanted to talk about? Okay, before I get into the crux of this episode, you know what I wanted to talk about, y'all? I've been seeing a lot of commentary online in regard to the election. Yes, people are still, it's still very fresh. Like I said, even though we're on day 278. Y'all, I've been seeing a lot of commentary about FAFO. FAFO. What's FAFO? For those who don't know, it stands for fuck around and find out, or the kid-friendly version, fool around and find out. And I've been seeing this coming up a lot in left spaces, we shall say. Anybody, Democrats, liberals, progressives, even some leftists. I've been seeing this this sentiment of FAFO coming out when it comes to the election results, and when it comes to Trump supporters who have, quote, voted against their interests, which, we know that that's not necessarily the case, because clearly their interests are aligning themselves with white supremacy and misogyny and xenophobia and Islamophobia, and the list goes on, right? But in addition to that, people have also talked about the interests that they have that they're clearly voting against, right? For example, we talked about how so many working class people voted for Trump because of the economy and not tariffs, and eggs and the prices of eggs. And that after the election, one of the top searches was, what is a tariff? Oh boy. And people are realizing that, oh shit, these tariffs that Trump wants to implement, 25%, by the way, on Mexico and Canada, who, by the way, are our two largest trading partners, real smart, and a 10 or 15% tariff on China, who's our third largest trading partner. So, you saw a lot of people coming out and being like, oh shit, I even talked about it here, that one person who tweeted that they were texting with their cousin, and the cousin was like doing the math and realizing like the tariffs are going to actually make groceries more expensive, right? And you see people, left people and leftists and liberals and progressives, you see them sitting here like, gleefully waiting in the corner for the faux part of FAFO, okay? The find out part. They're like, oh, I can't wait till y'all find out. I can't wait till Trump does this. I can't wait till Trump does that. So you can find out how horrible he is, and you can find out and you can understand, and finally you'll get it. And I'm here to tell y'all, people who are not excited, but looking forward to the foe of the FAFO. I hate to break it to you, but I'm going to touch your hand when I say this. Folks, there will be no foe of the FAFO, okay? There will be no finding out of the fucking around. There will be no finding out, okay? Trump supporters and conservatives, they are going to gaslight the shit out of y'all. When the shit really starts hitting the fan, they will be gaslighting the hell out of us. They will be moving the goalpost, y'all, because they are masters at that. They are masters at moving the goalpost. They are masters at gaslighting. They are master manipulators, y'all. We've been seeing this for the last 8 years. Have you ever tried to talk to a Trump supporter in person or online? It's a goddamn waste of time. I mean, literally, like when you think of a Trump supporter, it's like the same thing as like boomers and and not all Gen X. I know y'all gonna get mad, but that 50% of y'all, that problematic 50% of y'all, it's like dealing with boomers and Gen X. When you try to call them out on their faults and their mistakes, do they take that lightly and accept it and go, you know what, you were right? Or do they gaslight you? Or do they refuse to acknowledge and take responsibility? Do they project onto you? It's the same thing. We all have people like this in our lives. Not necessarily, they could be boomers, they could be Gen Xers, but we also have people, friends, coworkers in our lives who are like that. We all know people like that who will never, ever admit that they're wrong. And not only will they never admit that they're wrong, but they will turn around and blame everybody but themselves. And that is Trump supporters. We've seen this for the last 8 years. So guys, y'all waiting for them to have their find out moment? I hate to break it to you, it ain't gonna happen. What's really gonna happen is we're gonna have our find out moment, or really y'all, because I already know, where you find out that there is nothing that you can do to get through to these folks, and that they will move the goalpost. They will, no matter what happens. Right now, they are blaming Biden for Trump's economy. Right now. They are blaming Biden for Trump's economy. Trump's tax cuts to the corporations and billionaires is still in effect until 2025. And they will take credit for what is not theirs. For example, Trump's economy, which is really Obama's economy, which like, at what point, how long is it going to take you guys to realize that like, presidents don't necessarily change the economy in the time that they're actually in office, and that there's residual effects of what they do when they're in office. But again, here I am trying to reason and talk sense into people who are not interested in being reasoned with. They're just gonna blame Hillary's emails. When the tariffs make eggs $1 million for a carton, they're just going to blame Hunter Biden's emails. We've seen this play before. We've seen this before, and we're seeing this play out in real time. We're seeing the narrative shift play out in real time. For example, with abortion. Suddenly now, the new narrative is, well, we didn't want to ban abortion. We just wanted to send it back to the states. Oh, for real? Since when? You mean to tell me that all those people who are protesting outside of every freaking Planned Parenthood with gruesome pictures of mutilated babies, harassing people trying to get pap smears, trying to get their normal, regular health care, and also people who are getting the abortions that they're entitled to get if they so choose? You mean to tell me those people have been standing out in the rain, the snow, the sleet, because they just wanted to send it back to the states? When? Where? How? I don't ever, all these years of the anti-choice movement, all these years of the anti-choice movement, I ain't never once heard these motherfuckers mention sending shit back to the states. Since when? Since when? And now, suddenly, that's the new line. Suddenly. I've seen it in my comment section. You know, anytime I posted about Trump recently and also it's like, you know, somehow people are mentioning abortion. It's like, this doesn't even have anything to do with abortion, but okay. You know, they jump into the comments talking about oh, well, it's just, you know, we wanted to send it back to the states. You did? How come this is the first time I'm seeing commentary about sending abortions to the states? And I am a comment hoe, baby. Okay? I'll be up in them comments, all right? Since the Facebook days. I used to be in them comments in the Facebook days. When I tell you, I would just be slicing and dicing. People were not ready for me, dog. I used to be in them comments fighting like 80 people at once. It was one of my favorite things to do. Anyway, the point being that I used to be up in them comments. I've been in them comments, and I ain't never, ever once seen someone who was anti-choice in the comments talking about well, our goal is to send this back to the states. Since freaking when? I'll tell you since when. Since their dear leader, Donald Trump, decided to change his platform. And suddenly he started, oh, well, you know, we sent it back to the states. That's what everybody wanted. That's what everybody wanted. We sent it back to the states. That's what everybody wanted. You know, that was his new line during the election, during his campaign, that we did what the Americans wanted and sent it back to the states. We even talked about this on the podcast. Really? But prior to people complaining about you getting rid of Roe v. Wade, you were screaming into the rooftops. You were so proud. There's clips of you saying how you're the one that did it. Nobody else could do it but you. And then when you saw the backlash, when you realized that, we might have made a mistake on this abortion thing. When you realize that, suddenly it became, oh, well, we're just trying to send it back to the states. That was the goal. Send it back to the states. And so what do Trump followers do? They take that hook, line, and sinker, and they just regurgitate it. So now that's what we're seeing. This is the new line this is the new line in terms of abortion. Okay? That all of a sudden it was, we just want to send it back to the states. Let the states decide. Okay. And also on the economy. This is another place that we're seeing the narrative shift right before our eyes on the economy. You know, at first, when the election was going on, what did all the Trump supporters say? What was their reason for voting for Trump? The economy. Eggs are so expensive. I don't want to pay more for eggs. I don't want to pay more for gas. I don't want to pay more for everything, right? And then when the truth about tariffs came out and how tariffs are actually going to up the prices of pretty much everything, right? Because like I said, Canada, Mexico, and China are our top 3 trade partners. Okay. So when the truth came out that tariffs were going to bump everything, now what is the new narrative, y'all, that I'm seeing all over the internet? I'm seeing it on cable news shows. I'm reading it. I'm seeing it in my own comment section. What's the new narrative? Oh, well, we knew that tariffs were going to make things more expensive. The point is so that we can buy American and support American products. When did you say that during the election? During the campaign? And then when people push back on that and they're like, well, American products are more expensive. What's the response? Well, we don't mind paying more for American stuff. So your whole logic behind voting for Donald Trump was the economy and the fact that you didn't want to continue paying high prices for things, basics, necessities like groceries, like gas. You didn't want to pay higher prices for those, but now you're okay with paying higher prices as long as they're American. What? This is what I mean, folks. This is what I mean when I say that the narrative is changing right before our very eyes. And it's important for us to A, pay attention, and B, call it out. Because next thing you know, 2 years from now, everybody gonna be talking about, well, yeah, I know they said they wanted to send it to the States and that they just wanted to spend more on American goods. That's not what they said, y'all. The narrative is changing right before our eyes. We're being gaslit right before our freaking eyes. And we have to call it out. And we have to make sure that the narrative doesn't change, especially for the books of history. Because we can't afford to repeat this bullshit ass cycle that we're on again for the freaking 11 millionth time? We can't. So we have to make sure that we set the narrative straight. And we don't allow these people to switch the narrative right in our eyes. Talk about like some PSYOP, COINTELPRO, brainwashing type shit, man. The way a motherfucker can look you dead in your face and be like, that's not what I said, and then completely change your whole reality. Gaslighting 101. And that's what we're seeing with regard to the Trump supporters who are supposedly finding out. So I want all of my people, my Dems, my left, all of the people on the left adjacent, I want y'all to let the idea of these Trump supporters finding out, and that's when we're going to miraculously save them all, and they're all going to wake up, and they're all going to realize that, the mistakes, their follies, and they're going to get on the right side of history, and then, we let it go, y'all. Excuse me. Let it go. It ain't gonna happen. I want you to take the macro and make it micro and think about those people in your life who are like that, who are stubborn and they refuse to acknowledge when they're wrong. They refuse to admit that they're wrong. They refuse to accept responsibility. It's always everybody else's fault but theirs. They change the narrative. They move the goalposts. They project, they gaslight, and they manipulate, all because they cannot emotionally accept being wrong. That is so powerful when you think about it. And for folks who are stuck in that type of energy, who like you're stubborn by nature, or you can be stubborn, or you're one of those people that it's like, if you know you're wrong, you got to save face instead of like just admitting it and acknowledging it and learning the lesson and moving forward. For folks like that, y'all, let me tell you, one of the best things you can do for your soul and for your spirit is to learn how to be wrong. To learn how to lose an argument gracefully. Because I think there's a proverb. I don't know what kind of proverb. I've heard this before where they say the best way to win an argument is to lose it or to be okay with losing it, something like that. But that's the best way, because it's like, let it go. It's okay to be wrong. We're all wrong all the time. That's how we live. That's how we grow. That's how we change. But if you're one of those people who cannot, who like you would you'd rather cut off your nose to spite your face. You know, whenever you get backed into a corner and you realize like, oh shit, I was wrong. Instead of being like, damn, let me think on this. It's like that brick comes into your chest, right? We all know that feeling. You know, where it's like, gotta save face, robot overdrive, gotta save face, cannot let people know that I am wrong. We've all been there. It's okay. But that mentality and that energy is what stifles progress. And we're seeing that in our society play out, especially by folks who are Trump supporters and conservatives. They are changing the narrative right before our eyes. So don't think that there's gonna be a find out stage, folks. Let her go. Accept the reality. And let's plan on the next strategy that doesn't involve these folks suddenly having an epiphany and waking up, because the odds are not in our favor. Okay? So let's let the foe of the FAFO go oh. Okay, ho? Guys, I want to talk about Project 2025. I actually wanted to talk about it before the election. And then the election came and I was like, oh, I missed my window. Oh, well. However, I actually think, ironically, that now is probably an even better time to talk about Project 2025, because we're about to be living it, folks. We are about to be living it. Now, for those who are not familiar with Project 2025, Project 2025 is a 900-page document, policy document that was published by the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank with direct ties to Trump's first administration. According to the ACLU.org, though Trump has falsely claimed he is not connected to Project 2025, a recent report from CNN found at least 140 people who worked on Project 2025 that previously worked in Trump's administration. This is what I'm talking about when I say they're changing the narrative right in our face. This motherfucker talking about some, I don't have anything to do with Project 2025. I don't know nothing about that. 140 people who worked on your administration also worked on Project 2025. And that's not it. The Heritage Foundation president, Kevin Roberts, who previously worked on Trump's transition team in 2016, has described his organization's role as, quote, institutionalizing Trumpism, end quote. Come on, folks. Are we going to let them change the narrative right in our faces? Or are we going to acknowledge the truth? His role for the Heritage Foundation, the president of it, is to institutionalize Trumpism. Kevin Roberts was also one of the principal advocates for overturning the 2020 election to keep Donald Trump in office after he lost the election. And there's also Heritage Foundation executive Mike Howell, who called the 2024 election illegitimate before voting even began, claiming without evidence that any result other than a Trump victory will have been the result of fraud, end quote. Of course he won, so there's no fraud, right? But they were already prepping for their fraud argument, and not just in word. They started legal cases all over this country. I guess they probably throwing them out now. And Trump's vice president, JD Vance holds even deeper ties to the Heritage Foundation. JD Vance, according to Forbes, penned the introduction to a 2017 Heritage Foundation report and President Kevin Roberts' forthcoming book, with Roberts telling Politico in March that the senator is, quote, absolutely going to be one of the leaders, if not the leader of our movement, end quote. So when Trump is out here being like, I don't know anything about Project 2025. I never heard of it. And 140 of the people that worked on his administration also worked for the Heritage Foundation, who wrote Project 2025. And the president of the Heritage Foundation said that their organization's job was to institutionalize Trumpism. They want to institutionalize that bitch. They want all of us to be beholden to Trumpism, y'all. BBC calls the 900-page document a policy, quote, wish list with a set of principles that would expand presidential power and impose an ultra-conservative social vision. The document itself sets out 4 main policy aims. 1, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life. Yikes. Sounds innocuous, right? You're like, oh, okay, they just want like family values. But their definition of family values, baby, their definition of family values is a woman perpetually pregnant, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, against her will or not. Doesn't matter, because she doesn't have an opinion. She doesn't have none of that matters. Don't forget, her body, my choice, right? Who is uneducated, who can't vote, who has to rely 100% on their male partner, husband, because this is their traditional values, their husband, to provide for them, because they don't have any means or access to financial independence. That's the family values they looking for. Number 2, dismantle the administrative state. One of Project 2025's main policy aims, is to dismantle the administrative state. Do you know what that means? They didn't say reform. They didn't say fix. They said dismantle. Their goal is to tear everything down and replace it with this Project 2025. So when you are listening and seeing Trump's appointees who have zero experience in the areas that they're being appointed to, and you understand that Project 2025, which considers its goal to institutionalize Trumpism, that one of their main efforts is to dismantle the administrative state, all the puzzle pieces start to come together, don't they? Of course, he's installing a bunch of people who don't know what the hell they're doing, because his intention is not for them to know what the hell they're doing. His intention is for them to strip it the fuck down. The third main policy aim of Project 2025, according to the BBC, is to defend the nation's sovereignty and borders. Immigration, right? Immigration, those scary immigrants, those scary black and brown immigrants coming across the border. And finally, the fourth main policy aim of Project 2025 is to secure God-given individual rights to live freely according to their will. Because don't forget, your body, his choice. Let's take a look at some of the main areas that Project 2025 focuses on. First and foremost, we have the government, okay? According to the BBC, Project 2025 proposes that the entire federal bureaucracy, including independent agencies such as the Department of Justice, be placed under direct presidential control. A controversial idea known as, quote, unitary executive theory, end quote. You heard that? They trying to implement unitary executive theory. In practice, that would streamline decision-making, allowing the president to directly implement policies in a number of areas. Basically, making him king. They want the president to be a king who has absolute power. I mean, the Supreme Court has already given him immunity for, quote, presidential acts, official presidential acts, which it's like, okay, they can label anything an official presidential act. But I digress. They want to make him a king. And remember, their goal is to institutionalize Trumpism. Their proposals also call for eliminating job protections for thousands of government employees who could then be replaced by political appointees. So again, all the degular people that you know that work for the government, the millions of people in this country who are government employees, they're going to sack them so that they can make way for their people. Appointees, AKA more people who will get out of Trump's way and let Trump do whatever the hell he wants. The document labels the FBI as a, quote, bloated, arrogant, increasingly lawless organization, end quote. It calls for drastic overhauls of the agency and several others, as well as the complete elimination of the Department of Education. Now, I don't fuck with the police. So the FBI, you know, two things can be true. These motherfuckers could be right, but their angle on it, it concerns me. Concerns me. Now, the Republican Party has absorbed many, but not all of these ideas, okay? But it does include the Republican Party platform, I should say. The Republican Party platform does include a proposal to, quote, declassify government records, root out wrongdoers, and fire corrupt employees, end quote. Root out wrongdoers. That's some like 1984 language, y'all. What's our future going to be? Root out wrongdoers. This is the official Republican Party platform. I mean, this is where you get situations where you have neighbors turning on neighbors, ratting neighbors out, sending neighbors to be, jailed and executed. That's how real dictatorships work. Root out wrongdoers. That just gave me freaking chills. The platform pledges to slash regulation and government spending and explicitly calls for closing the Department of Education, an idea Trump has endorsed. Let's talk abortion and family in Project 2025. Mentions of abortion in Project 2025, how many do you think there are? 1? 3? 8? 15? How about 200? They mention abortion in Project 2025 200 times. Thankfully, The document does not call for an outright nationwide abortion ban. Thank you. Thank you. And Trump says he would not sign such a law. However, it proposes withdrawing the abortion pill mifepristone. I can never get this. Withdrawing the abortion pill mifepristone from the market and using existing but little enforced laws to stop the drug from being sent through the post. According to the ACLU, their plan, according to the ACLU, Project 2025 plans on limiting abortion access nationwide by reversing the FDA's approval of mifepristone and reviving a 19th century law, the Comstock Act, to ban any abortion medications, equipment, or materials from being sent through the U.S. Postal Services. Y'all, they trying to go back to the 19th century. Let's be real, y'all. When MAGA says, "Make America Great Again," this is what they mean. Because when was America great for everybody? Never. And when they're saying "Make America Great Again," you got to ask yourself, for whom? Because I promise you that the MAGA supporters and people like the Heritage Foundation and conservatives, they're not thinking about making America great again for Black and brown people. Because it ain't never been great for us. When was it great for Black people? Now, when we're dealing with police brutality, was it great during the George Floyd protests a few years ago? Is it great now when people are still throwing away our resumes because our names sound too Black? Is it great for us now when we can't move into different neighborhoods because we get redlined? And banks won't give us loans because we're too Black? Is that what it was great for Black people? Oh, it was great during the civil rights era. That's when it was great for us. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. No, it was great during slavery. When they say "Make America Great Again," do they mean for women? Because when has America been great for women? Is it now when white women are making 70 cents on the dollar and Black women are making something like 40 or 30s? I don't know, but less than 70 cents on the dollar? Is that when? Is it great now when our abortion rights and reproductive access is being outlawed? Is it great now? Oh, I know. It was great when women couldn't get business loans without having a man sign for them in the 1980s. Oh, no. It was great when women couldn't get bank accounts until the 1970s. That's when it was great for women. Oh, I'm sorry, what? You said, it was great when women couldn't vote? Is that when it was great again? Make no mistake, when they're saying "Make America Great Again," they mean for cis-het Christian white men, especially the rich ones. Especially the rich ones. And it's not a coincidence that Project 2025, one of their goals is to revive a 19th century law. Because what, pray tell, was happening in the 19th century? Whew. The document, Project 2025, also proposes new data collection efforts on abortion. They want your business. They want access to your personal abortion files, baby. And more generally suggests that the Department of Health and Human Services should, quote, maintain a biblically based, social science reinforced definition of marriage and family, end quote. They said, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, baby. And they want that to be in law. Let's talk immigration. According to the BBC, Project 2025 increases funding for a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border, one of Trump's signature proposals, and it is proposed in that document. Also, Project 2025 suggests dismantling the Department of Homeland Security and combining it with other immigration enforcement units in other agencies, creating a much larger and more powerful border policing operation. Other proposals include eliminating visa categories for crime and human trafficking victims. I'm sorry, what did you say? You're a victim of human trafficking and you're looking for amnesty in our country? We're gonna take that category off the visa application. I mean, the cruelty is the point, huh? It also proposes increasing fees on immigrants, because you got to keep them out, and allowing fast-tracked applications for migrants who pay a premium. Because let's not forget, people, what this all boils down to is the money. You got the money, honey. You don't have to worry about these restrictions. We gonna fast-track your application. According to the ACLU, they are targeting immigrant communities through mass deportations and raids. That's what they want to do in Project 2025. Ending birthright citizenship, meaning if your parents are immigrants or they are here and they are undocumented, but you were born here and you get citizenship because you are born in the United States, they're trying to get rid of that. No more being born means you're a citizen here. No more of that. They're trying to get rid of that. Separating families and dismantling our nation's asylum system. Asylum? What's that? We don't care. This is what Project 2025 has on climate. The document proposes slashing federal money for research and investment in renewable energy and calls for the next president to, quote, stop the war on oil and natural gas, end quote. Carbon reduction goals would be replaced by efforts to increase energy production and energy security. They said, baby, we want to go back to oil, even though it's a new millennium and we should already be, at like power cell level by now with the technology that we have, but we don't use technology to help the people. We use it to make money. They said they might as well have said we want to go back to coal. Because they do be fighting for the coal miners instead of fighting for the coal miners to transition to jobs that actually matter in this millennium. They want us to go back to like 18th century London, y'all, where the little boys had soot all over their face because the air was black. They want to go back to that time where they could make those little boys and the little girls drop out of school in fourth grade and work every day for 14 hours a day. According to Forbes, the proposal would undo much of the federal government's climate work, including by leaving the Paris Climate Agreement, overhauling the Department of Energy to promote oil and natural gas, and de-emphasize green energy sources. So your solar panels, your wind turbines, your your tides, the water, hydro power, all that stuff, all that clean energy, they're like, nah, man, we want the pollution. We want black lung. We want, they hated wearing masks, but I guess they really do want to wear masks. But this time for the toxic particles in the air that they want to bring back. The proposal would also remove the Department of Agriculture's focus on sustainability and curtailing climate research. Because why would you want to do climate research? It's better to bury your head in the sand, right? So in addition to the economy going to hell, women losing their rights, us losing our right to a free and fair election, we also gonna be sucking black smoke. And as somebody who lives in California, LA, one of the small capitals of the world, it ain't pretty, folks. It ain't pretty. It ain't pretty when you be like, why is my nose itching and my eyes is burning? And you pull up the weather report and you look at the air quality and it's in the red. Is there a worse color than red? We're going to find out. Let's talk the economy, because that's what this was all about, right? Let's talk what Project 2025 has to say about the economy. The document sets out two competing visions on tariffs and is divided on whether the next president should try to boost free trade or raise barriers to imports. Okay? But the economic advisors suggest that a second Trump administration should slash corporate and income taxes. You know, you gotta, them corporations, you know, if we don't slash your taxes, how are we gonna get trickle down economics that hasn't worked ever? And we've been trying to make work since the 1980s. How is trickle-down economics going to work if we don't give the corporations their tax cuts? Or rather, should I say, how are Republicans and Trump and those in power going to continue to get favors if they don't give their buddies tax cuts? Because that's what this is really about. Economic advisors suggest that the Trump administration should slash corporate and income taxes, abolish the Federal Reserve, and even consider a return to gold-backed currency. Let's talk tech. This is an interesting one. Under the proposals, pornography would be banned. And tech and telecom companies that allow access to it would be shut down. That's Project 2025, folks. I mean, it's so wild how they talk about, you know, we want to give people the opportunity to live free and fair, but we want to be in your browsers and take out your ability. Like what? We're going to outlaw pornography and then punish any of the companies that allow access to it. TikTok would be banned under Project 2024. And the proposal calls for reforming Section 230, which shields tech companies and social media networks from being sued over content on their platforms. I mean, I'm sure Elon Musk may have, you know, hinted at wanting this. And allowing laws like those passed in Florida and Texas to seek punishment for social media companies who ban or suspend users based on their viewpoints. So if your viewpoint is women need to go back to the kitchen and shut the hell up, and someone decides to ban that, they're going to get in trouble, according to Project 2025. And TikTok, say goodbye. Say goodbye to porn and to TikTok under Project 2025. There's a few more points that I want to talk about, but I'm running out of time. So I'm just going to close out on this one last aspect of Project 2025, and that's education. According to the document, it calls for school choice and parental control over schools and takes aim at what it calls, quote, woke propaganda, end quote. So just for those who don't know, school choice is a euphemism for we want our white kids to not have to go to school with anybody but other white kids. And we'll do that through private school and charter schools and defunding the public schools and using money that should be going to public schools to fund our private and our charter schools so we can keep our white children safe from those black and browns. That's what school choice really means. Just in case you were wondering, they wrap it up in pretty cute names and stuff, but that's really what it means. The proposal also proposes to eliminate a long list of terms from all laws and federal regulations, including, quote, sexual orientation, gender equality, abortion, and reproductive rights, end quote. They want to remove those words from the lexicon, y'all. Yeah, it starts with the laws, but eventually they want them gone from the lexicon. Starting to sound very 1984-ish. Project 2025 aims to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in schools and government departments as part of what it describes as a wider crackdown on, quote, woke ideology. And student loan relief? Forget about it. Because Project 2025 aims to bring student loan relief to an end, including the public service loan forgiveness program and income-driven repayment plans. As the proposal states, quote, borrowers should be expected to repay their loans, end quote. As somebody who actually did pay back my student loans myself with my own hard-earned money and did not get any student loan forgiveness, why can't y'all let people get student loan forgiveness? Leave people alone. Crabs in a barrel. Guys, we're going to have to stop there. There's a few more parts of Project 2025. Maybe next episode we'll get into those other parts because it's some scary shit. It really is. But with that being said, we have come to the end of another episode of No Niche Zone. I'm your host, Priscilla Davies, and of course, please follow us across all platforms at No Niche Zone Pod. You can also find us on Blue Sky, y'all. We're over there. We up in the house. You can also follow me at Pris the Goddess personally across all platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to our Discord, and you can send your listener letters to nonichezone@gmail.com. Folks, we'll see you next time.